What is going on, guys? And today we are back in the mix. Got a little dirty dozen going for you. Playing 7-card stud right now. 7-card stud. Badeucey, deuce to 7, no limit capped. Badugi, stay better, deuce 7, triple draw, PLO cap. Badacey, ace to 5. Ace to 5, Razz, no limit single draw, limit 08, and limit Hold'em. Let us get right into it. Third hand of 7-card stud. Interesting one to pick up here. Get some buried jacks against an ace and king. This ace is super wide. 8 calling here. So, honestly, I think this is probably some sort of draw, just playing a lot with rhythm. And also given the fact that Josh opens pretty wide here, so my guess is this tends to be more. He catches a king, which is like good for his range, which is fine. Just gonna go ahead and call, but obviously I think there was a king dead over here too. We don't love the fact we cut the 4 now. Basically, almost all the kings are dead-ish. I still expect like rhythm in the situation here to, probably had like some sort of busted heart draw. I'm not folding jacks. Never folding jacks to Josh here. I'm just gonna kind of call one more. We catch an ace too, so we block aces for him. And he somehow did catch a king. Wow, case king looks like. But if we made 2 pair on that river, we're probably raising, seeing all the dead cards, honestly. But again, that range is just so wide that we're not folding jacks pretty much unless he like open pairs a higher pair than us, I would say at that point. We can even see like here, it was 5 versus 5 and now rhythm was raising. Like he decided not to bet the 8 against the ace. So again, like I think part of his range is capped at that point. I'm not sure what the next game is. What was the next game? Badeucey. All right. Well, if you guys like what you see, please like and subscribe. Any questions or comments, please put them below. If you guys are looking to open a Phenom account, there is a link below, or when you register, you can type in LMG for Learn Mix Games. That helps me out and helps the channel out. Also, if you guys are looking for some feedback, you guys can record up to 1 hour on Phenom. Send it to me. I have, I think by the time this one comes out, I'll have my 3rd. Baby Ruthless was also part of it, so I appreciate that. Yeah, you can send it to me. We can go over it, or I can do the commentary by myself. The last one I did the commentary by myself. And I think the PGT's coming up. So I'm also just going to throw a shout out to Chris's channel on YouTube, @DeathDonkey. He just came out with a kind of a interesting video on small blind play, cold calling versus like 3-betting in limit hold'em. His primary focus right now is on limit hold'em, but at the same time, I also think too that in the future he'll probably do a little bit more, but a lot of the same dynamics also apply in different games. All right, let's get into it. Badeucey, 75432 is the best low. 5432 rainbow is the best Badugi. Start here with the big blind here. If we can complete the action for, we're not, we're going to get 3-bet by Mel. So we're going to fold the 3-2. If we had a 3-card 6 in this scenario, we would go ahead and call. We do know that this range is relatively wide, but this right here, this 3-bet is pretty strong. So not much we can do. We just got to give our hand up, even though we do want to be a little bit sticky. And pat 1-2. Expect this hand to be relatively strong. Wow. Honestly, I did not expect Mel to get scooped here. Especially against that hand. That's pretty. I'm gonna go pull this one to the side here and see what we are looking at. Got 2-5, 2-5-8 here in the small blind. I think that's definitely a pretty wide 3-bet for Mel if he's gonna get scooped in that spot. Go to the end. Let's get scooped by deuce 4-6 and he had 3-5-6 and an 8. 2-2. We make 2-4-5 and an 8. I think we're gonna go ahead and bet this one and draw 1. Pair of 3rd 8. It's probably an okay card for us, and he does fold. But with the 2-4-5 there, we have Showdown Badugi as well. Showdown with the Badugi side. So I think we're doing a little bit betting. We have a 3-4-6. We don't have 3-4-6. Okay, so Mel decided to 3-bet this hand. Oh, I can't. Hold on 1 second. See if I can add it. 1 second. I'm using a different recorder going, so give me a sec. Okay. All right. So it looks like it's working over here. Roll it up just a little bit. So he gets scooped over here with this hand, and he 3-bet pre-flop. So the only combination I think that kind of makes sense is the 3-5-6 with the 8. And I think from the small blind, the best thing to do with that hand is probably just to call and ditch the 8 and ditch the 7 out of position, especially against 2 players in position. Kind of want to just see 1 second. I just want to see what happens in this hand. Just remember it goes. He 3-bets, goes call, call. He takes 1. So most likely he had a 3-5-6 with the 8. Bets call, call. Takes 1 again, 2-2. Makes the 87 with the 8-6. And pats, and it goes 1. It's probably okay. I don't think it's that big of a mistake one way or the other. I just think the only close decision would be pre-flop with that hand, because I don't like drawing out of position with, I wouldn't call that necessarily a weak draw. It's probably an okay draw, but I think out of position, it's going to be one of those hands that's necessarily hard to play, and you want to give yourself, I think, the best chance to make the Badugi out of position. And Baby Ruthless checks back there with the 8-8. I think probably going into betting is probably a little bit better. Josh shows up with 4 clubs. He gets the low. All right, I want to hold him capped. Again, we're playing the equivalent of 10 big blind, 10 big bet cap in this game. So it's $60. But the blinds are stripped. You can see there's a ante and a half in the middle. I'm always going to leave no limit stuff to the other people out there. Cap game's a little bit interesting. Because at 40 bigs, if you have a decent hand, we're not doing a ton of folding. If someone ships it, I mean, obviously we're folding at 40 bigs with a hand like this, but for the 3-bet, we're not doing much. Definitely calling here against Josh. I don't think we're turning our hand. I don't think we're turning our hand into a bluff here. I mean, at some cap, we probably are, but I think calling is totally fine as well. And let's see, SPR is right around 2 at this point. Interesting bet size. I think I'm just going to go ahead and, because I have so many folds on this board, I think we're just going to go ahead and, well, I don't like to shove, but I can't move the mouse as much as I want to, so. And unfortunately, it looks like we're getting, well, we get the flush draw again. And he gets there. We'll lose that one. It's always nice to get a semi-decent hand the next hand, because if you decide to shove, it looks like you're somewhat tilting. Definitely against this open, we're going to be 3-betting, and against this, we just have a pure shove here. Nothing else to really do. Expect to get called by Mel's shove. He's getting a pretty relatively good price here. And we hold that one. Or, sorry, we get there on that one. So win one, lose one. I'm going back to my shove on the flop against Josh. My guess is against a player like Josh, I probably want him to I think I want him to like stack off on a later street. Meaning like I think he might just bluff if I decide to cold call there on the flop. But I think he's gonna call it off lighter than most. He might just call with like any pair there, to be honest. I'm getting the ace-5 a lot here. Ace-5 offsuit a lot here. All right, after Nolan Hold'em, we're going to go to Badugi. 4, 3, 2, 1 is the best Badugi. Aces play low. Baby Ruthless 3 bets. Not going to do much here except just call. Just kind of just play this hand out of position. 1-1. Did you catch an extra 5? So we'll keep note of that. This range should be stronger than ours. And it goes check, check, which is interesting. And I think the fact that when I caught the 5 here and we catch now another 4, we're going to go ahead and bet. I think Baby Ruthless might do some folding in this situation just because they check back. Yeah. So my guess is they probably have one of their worst 3-betting 3 cards here, which means that I think betting in that spot with not only equity but also some fold equity, I think is probably correct. All right, so now we should look at some ranges here with Mel. Besides the pad, I would expect this hand probably to be, it could be a jack, but I would expect it to be a little bit better. Like, Mel shouldn't have kings and queens here. It's really hard to play those hands out of position. Yeah, like maybe an unbreakable jack is probably the worst hand, but even then, I don't even know if you can theoretically play that hand profitably. So my guess is like what probably a good range looks like there is probably like 10 Badugi's plus. Easy fold here. Probably need something like, I'm going to call with a 2 card. I'm not going to call a 2 card against a 3 bet, but if I'm going to call with a 2 card here, I probably need something like maybe 6-3 is close. Against Josh, probably 6-3 is fine. Interesting one. I didn't see how many Josh took. Gonna go look on the side over here to see what it was. 3-5-7 from the small blind. Play this one here for 3 bets. Three bet called. Okay. So 1-1. Out of position here. Check. 1. 1-1 again. I'm just gonna go ahead and check. At this point, we would consider check raising some Badugis. I think this is fine. With the 3-card 7 here out of position, though, I think we're low enough to go ahead and consider just folding. So what did Josh do? So Josh 3-bet, he took 1, and then Rhythm took 2. So Rhythm decided to 3-bet pre-flop. That is pretty loose in drawing 2 in that situation. The previous hand, I didn't realize he 3-bet and drew 2. So that's really loose, even against Josh, I would say. And again, this is a pretty loose opening and drawing 2, even though I'm sure he wants to try to play hands against Josh. I think Josh should just bet the river with 9-5. He might get looked up by a lot of 3 cards. Like if Rhythm wants to play a lot of hands against Josh, then my guess is Josh should probably thin bet a little bit more, because Rhythm thinks he can probably take advantage of Josh's decisions. And my guess is in that spot he thinks he can probably, like, bluff catch more often correctly or fold more correctly, and I think betting 9-5 is probably just good enough to go ahead and value bet. All right, stud 8 or better. There is always a stud high hand, and if you qualify with 5 cards 8 or under, there is a low hand. The best low hand will get half the pot. The best high hand will get half the pot as well. I don't think this is definitely not an auto bet. I mean, this board is pretty scary considering what this range I think should be. So I think this hand can do a little bit of betting with the ace, but against 3 clubs and what looks like some sort of combo draw a fair bit of times, I think checking here is also fine. Like maybe if you have like aces up or something like that, then you can just go ahead and go with the bet. Playing this one here, the split sevens with the buried ace. I think Mel's going to probably steal at a very high percentage. There he goes. So we're going to 2-bet this one, especially with the ace blocker. We might do a little bit more calling here, depending on like how often we think he's stealing. But I think with the ace blocker, I think it's just a little bit better to go ahead and 3-bet. He catches open deuces, but we catch a deuce too, so we're going to go ahead and bet. I don't expect to run into trips. We make 3 sevens and we block the ace. He does check to us. Obviously, this is a really good outcome for us because we block the ace and the deuce. So he's probably just going to get aces up to showdown here. And he does, but we have 3 sevens, so we're going to win that one. It might look like he actually might have buried jacks in that spot. 2, 4, 5 here. 7, 7, ace, and a 4. So some of the cards we do need. And we're heads up with Josh. So 7, 7, and a 4. Catches a 4. We obviously want that one. So we catch a 7, which is one that we really wanted. But his board is just so scary at this point. I don't think there's really anything to do except just call. I mean, he's still betting us. We have 4 hearts in a low, and at this point we do have a 7 low. We have a 6 in our hand. I'm just trying to see if I ever really want to raise in this situation against Josh. I guess I'm just calling. And we make a flush, and we're going to raise river now. We're going to bet river for sure once he checks. He has ace, king, queen, he has king, queen, jack, rainbow in the hole. Yeah, I missed a raise there on 6th Street. Honestly, though, he might have just folded. So I don't really know theoretically if it matters, but I mean, if your opponent is, let's pull this one up and then we'll go back over there in a second. See if I get it here. I don't get it. Add one. Yeah, let's do this over here. And then if, yeah, I mean, he 3-bet me with ace, queen, jack in the hole instead of better, which is really, really, really bad. And obviously his board runs out ace, deuce, 4, but on 5th Street, I mean 6th Street minus, I'm never folding. Like there's no possible way I'm ever folding this hand if I call 5th Street and I open with some sort of proper range. So I think realistically he's kind of just lighting money on fire at that point. We'll go back to our normally scheduled program here. King 7, 8. I don't think this is going to be good enough to steal, so we're just going to let that one go. Let's see, we got triple draw, PLO cap next 2 games. Just always curious to look and see what we're playing. Josh's board is running out. Pretty scary, but I guess this baby Ruthless probably has 2 pair. Oh, maybe she Maybe this one was a draw with a um this might have been a draw with a like a pair of queens with a low draw. That makes a little bit of sense too. Buried queens here, we're gonna play this one. If it goes absolutely insane, we might find a fold, but if it goes like raise, raise, raise. Even then I still want to play this hand, but might let that one go at that point. Interesting. Now, if Mel raises here with the ace, I'm going to go ahead and like sneaky call here because I don't think Josh ever folds. Kind of interesting. Everyone caught decent. I think I'm just going to go ahead and call here when the ace catches a deuce and he catches a suited 4. And now, again, this range is probably wide. I don't expect this to be like an immediate flush right now. And this is an interesting bet because I believe Mel's trying to bet to get Josh to raise. And it's kind of squirrely, I would guess, because he is deciding to bet likely this one. I'm going to make kind of a tight fold. I think he correctly like probably reads like Josh's range here though, but I think if I call here like Josh is going to raise a fair bit. And then Josh gets scooped again by aces and an 8 low. So looks like Mel did bet with aces there. I think he deduced correctly like what the like ranges and correct ranges were in that situation. I'm actually just kind of curious what Mel had, or sorry, Josh had when Josh actually had something there. He had 8-3-5 of clubs in the hole, so my guess is he didn't raise Fifth Street either, so he must have made a pair. So his hand makes more sense. Like his hand is probably 8-8-5-7-4 with 3 spades. And then here 8-3-6 under the gun, obviously just too loose in the hijack. We are still, I think, 5-handed, so we're technically in the hijack, but I think it's still loose and open. 8-3-6 probably in the cutoff's okay. Even though I want to get in there and gamble, we're not playing a 2-card 8-6 draw. Let's see here. Any announcements? Well, I know PGT is coming out. I don't think this week, but then following week. So that's the poker mix games. I know Chris is doing some commentary in it. But if you have a Poker Go subscription, obviously you get the opportunity to watch some of the best mixed game players play some mixed games. So if you're watching this channel, I would recommend tuning in for that. If there's some YouTube stuff, I might throw it on the background occasionally if I'm doing something and put some comments in. But the traveling days for me are kind of realistically done at this point, unless I go out for a week of the World Series. I know the dates for the World Series are out, but the last I checked, the events are not out yet. We got a jack versus a 10, and I'm not quite sure how all the action went down. 2-4-6 here on the button. I'm probably going to 3-bet this hand in general. Like, I think against rhythms, if the like a normal range is raising here in the hijack, I don't think I'm actually going to 3-bet this hand. I think I'm going to fold like deuce 4-6. But I think rhythm's trying to play so many hands against Josh in position here that this hand probably becomes a 3-bet. Against the cutoff range, I think 2-4-6 becomes 2-4-6 is still in 3-bet. It's still a premium-ish draw. And we're in position. So. Mel took one. I mean, Mel should be most likely 3-betting his entire range there. It goes 2-1-2. I expect Mel to bet still, unless he's got a really rough draw. And I don't think raising here is going to do much. Plus, Mel theoretically could be pat, and I don't want to get 3-bet. If I had a stronger draw, I think it would probably be okay. Not that I'm trying to, like, tip my hand. Now we pair 8s in this situation, too. Like, I think I would go ahead and most likely bet if check 2, but when I pair the 8s, when Mel bets, I'm just calling. I've seen a couple 8s, I think, in a 10, make 86. And I actually think I'm going to go ahead and raise this river. I think it's kind of close, but I also think Mel wanted to 3-bet pre-draw with like a super strong draw. I do have an 8, which kind of hurts me a little bit, but I think this is close. 86 in the spot. I don't expect to get 3-bet now that he's gone into the time bank. He does fold, so. But I think 86 there with the deuce is probably close to a raise. Had he 4-bet me pre-flop, and I had not seen a 7, plus I saw an extra 8, I probably would have just called. Didn't see any 9s either, not that realistically changes my decision one way or the other, but all right. Fun hand to think about snowing with, but blockers aren't good enough, I think, so just gonna let that one go. All right, PLO capped. Again, $60 cap. 10 big blinds. We strip them. Again, with the big ante here, you tend not to do a ton of folding. The only difference here in this specific game is you, again, can take what the pot is and you can raise the pot. So, usually if Josh opens for the full amount, it's 3.5x, but in this game, I think you can open something for like 5x. So your ranges need to be slightly tighter because of that. But you still get to play a lot of hands with big ante. We got to check this one, though. Not really much going on here. And Josh is repping like a big ace, I would say, in this spot. Maybe aces up, but it's also a little bit hard to rep, say some aces up just because chose to limp pre-flop. This is close, I think, believe it or not, with the queen jack 3 out of position against Josh. I'm still going to call, given the big ante. And again, I don't think this range is like necessarily correct. So but against the min raise, I think calling here is okay. Do turn a flush with 3 hearts. I still think this is most likely a 1-street value hand on a paired board where both players, I think, could have 5s. And against the min bet, I think I'm going to bet small on this river right here. Half pot I think is okay. But I think Zoinks here can have like a 5 here, a decent bet. And we do get paid off by aces and 6s. Use 3-4 here on the button is probably it's close. With the king high suit, it's really close. I think we can go ahead and limp with the intention of seeing a flop. If it gets raised, just most likely fold. Yeah, easy fold now. Yeah, just too junky of a hand. But when you're getting such a good price, and again, like I've mentioned this in the past too, like if they perceive your limping range as super weak, then you can just you can limp a lot of fairly good hands and go for back raises and lower the SPR and just almost instantly get it in. Because there, if like in that situation, I can almost raise to like, I don't even know, 35 or something, maybe a little bit more. Maybe like 40 with a 60 cap, obviously, like there's just no play after that. So when you get the opportunity to lower your SPR with good hands, especially in PLO, should go ahead and most likely do it. A lower. King Jack 8-6, kind of same thing here. I think I'm just going to implement the limping strategy with the king. Probably close with this one against the full pot. But I probably think I'm just going to call in position here, take a flop. We do flop 2-pair, but did not want to see that almighty ace out there. Plus we got Josh behind us. It is a little bit gross just because, and this is a tough one. It's a tough one. I feel like I actually do want to stack off, I think, here. Not much I can realistically do. I think I'm just going to go ahead and stack off. Like, Rhythm does obviously have ace-ace here in this situation a fair bit, but I am blocking his 2 pairs. So if I run into ace-ace like I do there, unfortunately, it's kind of what happens sometimes. But at that stack depth against those, against that stack depth, I don't think there's much I can realistically do. Don't understand why this is taking forever just to hit a 5x. So I'm going to call here with the king 6-8-8. Probably a board against the c-bet we're probably just going to give up on that. That is a, against that sizing though, against third pot, I think we go ahead and call. If I had like, trying to think of like what my raises here look like. Well, this is probably actually a good one to consider bluffing with, to be completely honest here with the 8 of clubs in my hand. Set up what looks like maybe a pot size shove on the river. And we do get the fold. It's kind of like a mixture, I would say, like between a float on the flop a little bit there with top pair against like third bet. And I didn't think I had the best hand to consider raising, like bluff raising. So, yeah. All right, Badacey here. 5-4-3-2-1 is the best low. 4-3-2-1 is the best Badugi. It is a no qualifying split pot game, meaning there's always going to be 2 pots. That's the way I look at it when there's no qualifier. Meaning at one time, if you look in the middle, you can always just separate in one side. It's like, how am I doing on the Badugi side of the pot? How am I doing on the ace-to-5 side of the pot? We do see that Josh opens 3, Mel 3-bets, I'm taking 2. And then Josh does not, looks like Josh does not, well, I guess Josh is doing some leading here, so. And Mel folds. Interesting. Okay. I feel like Josh's range is still relatively wide in the situation, so if I 3-bet him pre-flop, I'm probably continuing with a lot on the second draw, honestly, in position against him. Get 3-bet. So 8 and 2 jacks. This takes 2. Brick out. Still calling in position for a small bet. And we make number 2 with a 1-2-3. So still a pretty strong hand in this spot. Stand pat. And I would say my 3 cards probably could hear like 50% of the time. and he does make the 5 Badugi. So most likely he made the pair Doogie on the river, and he had ace deuce 4. So unfortunately we got rivered there. 257 here in the cutoff. Probably this is a play in Badacey. If Mel opens, it's probably a fold. But again, hands that we wouldn't play necessarily here in ace 5. I wouldn't play this hand in ace 5. But the fact that I have a 3 card here makes it more of a play. Just because now I have Badugi equity where, there's no Badugi equity in just straight ace to 5. And takes 1. Draw. We're going to throw the 7 away at this point. We do have 5 through 2. Same thing again. Take 2. Now we're going to keep the 7. We don't love it though, but we still have a 3 card 5. So we're still going to call. Takes 6. Part of me wants to keep this 10, but I think drawing in this situation is probably slightly better. It gives us a chance to scoop. Obviously now we call. And we get scooped. 5 through 2 is good. Ace 4, 5. Yeah. 5 through 2 was good. Happy to chop, honestly. It's probably like one of the worst hands he's going to show up there with. And if he makes a worse ace to 5 hand, he usually shows up with a Badugi or a better 3 card, so I'm happy to chop. So your Badacey, Razz, no limit single draw, limit 08, limit hold'em. I think we started with stud. I feel like everyone's playing like pretty slow today, so this might be a slow video. Let's see if I can do a little more commentary for you guys. Yeah, I don't know why it's going so slow right now. But this should just be a snap bet in a 1-0-2 spot with 1 draw remaining. And then we can see Josh takes 2 again, and Josh likes to take 2 a lot. Going on the last draw. Multi-way, I don't usually recommend it. Mel called there with ace deuce 3, which I think is totally fine. But Zoinks has 6-6. I'm not going to defend this one. Josh 4-bet in position and took 2, which is somewhat interesting, I would say. Just basically kind of looks, I would say that his hand is usually like ace deuce 3 here, and that's it. Ace deuce 4 makes some sense. Don't know if Mel should actually bet the river, given the way Josh played his hand. I don't think he's folding, and he's just probably super sticky. So I think with a 9 there, I mean, he's definitely getting free rolled. So, when Josh 4-bets takes 2, he's definitely turning his hand face up, basically saying like, I have a 3 card 4 better. And if you can't beat a 3 card 4 in that situation, your opponent's going to call. You just, I think, have to make the adjustment and just check to him. And this one goes 3-3 against Baby Ruthless and Mel. Now, out of position here, I don't know if, unless Baby Ruthless has a ton of blockers, I don't think they should be necessarily just betting if they're drawing 2. So I would say if they improve to a 1 card draw, I'm doing a fair bit of betting. And then Mel should have some traps here too. Like if Mel has a good Badugi, I think he should go ahead and call sometimes with a good Badugi and decide to raise turn. But I think the way he played this hand here, calling with the 8 Badugi is good, and then called another bet, and obviously called river. So I actually think Mel played his hand pretty well there. Deuce 3-3. I'm gonna go ahead and steal this one. I think just if given the option to. If rhythm folds, the deuce is dead, and then I have 2 3s, but rhythm's open, so let this one go. I have never been. If anyone tells me differently, I'm curious to hear what they think about the big blind format versus the money in pot. Um, I know in tournaments it's probably a little bit more beneficial. I've just never been a fan of this unless I'm playing like no limit at 20 blinds or something like that, maybe a little bit deeper. But I, for some reason, I just my mind is always worse better looking at the money, looking at the totals. Um, yeah, I think this is a little bit too rough, and Josh is just so sticky that against some other players, you can probably flat this hand, and if like board run out is pretty bad for them, they tend to fold. But Josh is so sticky here. I think you just kind of have to have it sometimes against a player like that. So 6, a 5, and a deuce. 9, 6, 5, deuce. Suits don't matter in Razz, so I'm not really concerned. Just making mental notes, but I obviously need all of them, so I'm not folding. Sorry, I said fold. I don't know if everyone's playing like 4 tables today or something, but I feel like this game should just be faster. So 2, 5, 9 so far. Get 3-bet but a 6. And again, if Josh calls here, this just becomes a super easy 3-bet. We have to punish Josh. Yeah, and this is just something that you guys, I know like people in general want to reduce the variance, but you just have to punish the player. Like this Zoink should be raising here unless he paired the 7, which I mean it's possible. There's no 7s at this point. I mean, still, I think I'm going to go ahead and raise just because of like what I've seen. Like he didn't decide to raise here. He should. And then Josh is calling. So obviously we catch a 4. There's no dead. Josh has a 4. If I can get anyone to fold here, I think this is fine. I did raise the previous street. And unfortunately, I think I have to attempt to bluff my hand off here. Because I can't show down on Jack and win, but I think they're just going to get super sticky. Yeah, I'm a little surprised that Zoink shows up with his hand, to be completely honest. Just because, like, on 4 street, if he has anything there, like even an 8 draw underneath, he should be raising to try to get Josh out. You need to be putting pressure on that other player over there. And sometimes they don't, and that's fine. But he's just printing money against Josh's range there with Queen 8 when he has 6, 7 on his board. So I actually don't mind my play for what it's worth. I guess the only question in that Razz hand that I played is should I bet river. Because if he calls on that board with 6, 7, 8, 9, and I make the 3-card 6, the question is like, is he ever folding? If the answer is no, then obviously it should be a check back. King deuce 3 here. If anyone opens in front of us, we're most likely just folding. Now this becomes kind of a tricky situation, I would say, because like if Josh has a strong hand here, like a strong 9, I actually think he's open raising. I don't think he's just limping. Like I don't think Josh is raising or like calling here with ace 4, 9. I'm gonna fold now to Mel's open, but he might have a brick in the hole. That's how wide I think Josh could be in this situation. So I actually was debating opening the king deuce 3 against him, because I think his range is just so wide. And if I limp there with a 3, it looks really bad. 10 ace deuce with the deuce behind. If Mel opens, we're probably folding. If Mel folds, we're probably raising. But at this point with the deuce behind, I think I'm just going to give it up. If this is 100% range here, we're definitely playing this hand, but this should not be 100% range. Right now, no one the single draw capped. Remember, 7-5-4-3 deuce is the best hand, and that's a reference point to use off of, but the range in this game are so much wider than you'll see in a normal deuce 7 triple draw hand. Like usually, you know, you're looking for like most pad jacks are opens from most positions, pat 10s, 1 card 9 draws. And usually, because this is a 40 big blind cap game, a lot of times, you know, if you have like a strong 7 or 8 draw, the money just most likely just goes in. We have queen jack here in the cutoff, but with the straight draw and the fact that we're drawing a 1 card at a jack, I think this is just a fold. Yeah, and if they're going to fold to min raises, then min raising isn't the worst strategy either. I tend to raise a little bit bigger. Like I tend to raise like usually 3x. Don't love getting jammed at that stack depth, but most likely we're calling because if our opponent has 1 card draws there, we're losing a fair bit. But if they're only jamming like pat hands there, we're not getting the right price to call. So it just kind of really depends on how it plays out. With this sizing at this depth, I think I'm going to call and draw 3 here just because of the implied odds. Two, 3. Pat. Ooh, we almost get there too. Probably would take something like trips of some sort of variety here to consider going crazy. I think rhythm's check there is probably just fine. Because I think if either one of us made a hand, we'd probably go for a big check raise. All right, pat 9 here. Obviously, this is a very strong hand. And against against this, there's really nothing else to do here. We just go ahead and jam this one in. And hopefully no one has, like Mel doesn't necessarily have a trap here. But nothing really else to do here except jam the 9 in. I mean, honestly, I expect to get called by someone. Probably Mel. I mean, like Mel in position here, if he's calling this raise, I would expect to if Rhythm doesn't, yeah, Rhythm had a draw and paired, so we win that one. But if Rhythm was pat, he would have. If he snap checks, if he snap pats behind us, I don't love our hand. Maybe there's a scenario where he has like 10-5 or something like that. But in general, I think if your opponent's taking that much time there, I mean, obviously you have the best hand. You never want to see the snap. You never want to see the I pat. All right, then you got it because there's no way my hand's good. Limit 08. The greatest game ever in the history of the world. All right, I think we're going to play Limit 08, Limit Hold'em, and then we will stop the video. Here we have a super, super, super junky hand. Not playing this one. Don't even think I could play this one in Badugi. Jack 6-4, so like Mel's range here under the gun, I think just gets to bet this flop a ton. Because he's under the gun, so his range is tighter, 2 low cards. I think, Mel must be playing several games, because I feel like the speed of this game is very slow. And it's usually never this slow. Now I want my hand back, kings and jacks on a Badugi board. Guys, what are we doing here? I'm usually not one to complain about this, but this is just recklessly slow. All right. Ace 5, 8, 8 double. Really good hand. Double suited specifically too. I mean, pretty good board for like under the gun versus big blind. We flop 2 backdoor flush draws too, so I think betting here is totally fine. Turn we make a live 5. We're open-ended, plus we have a flush draw, so again, I think we have enough equity. We block some of the combos. And on the river here, this is kind of closer than I think. I think we just go ahead and bet, but I don't love it because we get scooped by that hand right there. But when we have 3 aces and a live 5 against the big blind opening range, now the range should definitely narrow. There's no question about it. But I think checking back there in that spot is just a little bit too weak. I feel like we're probably slightly profitable on both sides, but just by barely. The live 5 makes me think that we might want to do a little bit more checking, but it seems like a rough hand to check back, honestly. Here we have 6, 6, 5, 8 in the big blind. Zoink's posted too, so this range is wide. I believe Zoink's posted. So I believe that range is pretty wide. If Zoink's bets here, we're going for a check raise because they didn't 3-bet pre-flop. If we get this heads up with a 5-6 low draw too, it's pretty beneficial for us. Here on the turn, I still think like now I pretty much have like a nutted hand unless Baby Ruthless has like ace deuce of diamonds. But on this turn card, I expect if the flop checked, I expect the turn to check through a lot. And then river, I think we just go ahead and for one more value bet. Like Jack 3, I guess is possible, but seems like a pretty small portion of the range. But on the turn card, like being the Jack now, I think if I check here, it's just going to check through again at a fair bit. So I'm not going realistically for a check raise. 6, 6, 7, 7 double suited here is an interesting combination. If folded to, I think we 3-bet Josh, to be completely honest. And I don't know if we're really folding this hand to even more action. Again, it's like one of these like sneaky good hands, especially against like Josh's range. So I'm just going to 4-bet it. Just be like, sweet. And we get a relatively good flop for a hand here with the gut shot, straight draw, kind of a mediocre low draw, but I think betting this flop is fine. Obviously, pretty bad turn card, so I don't think like betting here is super beneficial. I'm just going to check call. And when club hits river here, I think I'm just going to go ahead and check with the 7 high flush draw. We do scoop. I expected actually Mel to have something very similar like what he had there, like 2 pair on the turn. I don't block, he could have some draws there too, but I was expecting like a hand like 2 pair, and they both actually had 2 pair. They just had the same 2 pair. So luckily I missed the board pairing. It's kind of close weather, I think. Like if the board didn't pair in that river, I think probably betting the flush makes some sense. But when the board pairs on the river, it's probably close. I guess the only thing, what's interesting there is Josh had 2 pair, and I would say that like usually Josh doesn't have 2 pair. Now, again, this is kind of an interesting spot to call with. I think I'm going to go ahead and call with the double suited Queen Jack 9-10 in position, especially since Mel called, and we get an open ender plus flush draw plus backdoor flush draw. And I think on this board we're actually going to do a little bit of raising to try to clear out some like low equity that has see if we can do some folding. And if we get like 3-bet on this board, it's kind of like whatever. We're not doing that bad. Like I don't expect Mel to have like 10-7 here that often. Obviously I have Queen Jack in my hand, so like 10 Queen Jack isn't realistically a hand that he should have either. Like maybe like Ace 10 Queen Jack is something like that, but I don't think like unless he has the nut flush draw, he gets just to barrel off. Here we're gonna call, and we make the nuts on the river for the high. But most likely we're getting quartered. And the only question here is do we 3-bet or not? I actually think I'm going to go ahead and go for the raise on the river here, and Josh like overcalls. I think if a player is super sticky in this spot, I think it could be Josh. And Mel has ace 3, 5, 9. I mean, definitely Mel should be 3-betting his hand against Josh pre-flop. There's no question about it. Like, I understand why he calls, but again, that type of hand is pushing a lot of equity against Josh, and if he gets that hand heads up, it's super beneficial for him in position. Ace 10, 4, 5, even though this is rainbow, this is still a 3-bet. And Zoinks calls, so I guess we're going to play this one with some caution, I would say. And here with no gut shot, no backdoor low draw, I was going to check back with in position, but for 1-bet we call. Pretty good turn for us. Open-ended, second nut low wrap. Fortunately, we don't have the nut flush draw, but and I don't think raising here makes much sense, to be completely honest. So if like Mel decides to bet, even if he bets, I think we just go ahead and call again. Like there are some draws that he theoretically could have, but I think on this turn card here, Zoinks could be just sticky in general, like when you call 3-bets pre-flop. And I mean, I definitely want to turn my hand into a bluff, but you know, for the min bet size, I just don't think it works too often. I mean, I really don't have too much showdown value at this point, but I think I'm just gonna go ahead and check it back. Yeah, and Mel has Queen, Queen, 10, 9. Queen, Queen, 10. Again, like this is a hand he shouldn't be opening straight. Like if he thinks it's gonna go 4 ways for multiple bets, then that's totally fine. But that's just not a hand that he should be opening. I mean, in reality, it doesn't matter. I mean, if he's gonna do it, he's doing it with the right combo. He has 4 high cards. It's double suited, so he's probably not giving that much up. But still, I think it's just a small mistake, especially in like a 6-handed game where, you know, if it's a 9-handed game where it's 4 or 5-handed, 2 bets every single time, yeah, go ahead, play that hand. You're definitely taking money out of the pot. But in a 5 or 6-handed game where it goes like bet, raise, and then your heads up, or like bet, 3-bet, maybe cold call with, you know, something like that. I don't think he's pushing enough equity. I don't know why everyone's so slow today. I'm just curious what Zong said, because I think ace 3, jack 9. Yeah, so Zoink said ace 3, jack 9 without the... I mean, I think, honestly, Zoink's hand is probably a fold. Zoink said ace 3, jack 9 with the... interesting. Maybe it's my computer that's slow. I don't think so, but I'm going to play limit hold'em here. Again, there's just so much good limit hold'em stuff out there that we'll just kind of play it for conversation stuff. But, I mean, it's just one of those games nowadays that tends to be solved more often than not. So, a6 here, we're going to defend against rhythm. Go ahead and most likely check call flop, backdoor nut, flush draw. Rhythm's also like c-betting here, I think, way too much. Like, I'm not quite sure what percentage he should be betting on this board, but it's probably 100%. So, and then we get a pre-bet turn card for our hand. So this one's going to be a check fold now. Lose to all the gut shots. And yeah, I don't think we're continuing here with the ace. This one. But yeah, Zoinks in that previous Omaha hand had ace, jack 3, 9 with 3 clubs not suited to the ace. I actually think his hand's probably a fold. But it looks like we got probably 2 more hands, and we're going to call it. And open ace 5 here. But again, if you guys like what you see, please like and subscribe. Questions, comments, leave them below. If you guys are looking for a free review, record up to 1 hour in Phenom, send it to me. We'll discuss it and go over it together. A board that I think we're doing a fair bit of betting on. Again, if you're looking to register for an account, use the link below, or use LMG at sign up. Learn mixed games. So, wait a second here. Jack 3, I believe, is a suited as a fold here. Probably 100% sure this fold. And yeah, if you guys got anything else, any questions, comments, feedback, I'd love to hear it. Any game that you guys want to see. Hopefully here they come out with the World Series schedule so we can see, what we want to focus on. I also told the team at Phenom, like, maybe what we can hopefully do is get like a table where they're World Series games where everyone can kind of practice and get ready for the World Series. But yeah, until then, guys, thanks for watching. I will talk to you guys soon. Good luck at the tables. Bye-bye.